Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Marcy Berman and I'm the chairman, and Sabu Kadka is the timekeeper. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators, who are Miss Emma Troy, Mr. Riley Lawrence, and Miss France. The topic for the debate is that South Australia Police should reinstate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. The affirmative team, seated to my right, is from Unley High School. The negative team, seated to my left, is from Endeavour College. The speaking time for this debate is 3 minutes, with a double bell at the end of your speaking time.
Ding ding.
A warning bell will ring once at 2 minutes, and continuous bell will ring 30 seconds after the final bell. Please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate open. I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Isla Darling.
Good evening, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that the South Australian Police should reinstate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. We define the topic as South Australian Police, the civil force of South Australia, responsible for the prevention and detection of crime and the maintenance of public order. Reinstate, bring back to the former state. Mandatory, required or compulsory. Spelling and numeracy tests, testing that measures the grammatical and mathematical competency of a person. And recruits, someone applying for the police forces. We define a topic as a whole, say polls should bring back the required assessment of numeracy and literacy for people applying to become a police officer. We as the affirmative team believe that this statement is utterly true. Today's first speaker, I'll be talking to you about 2 points, that literacy and numeracy are necessary for all jobs and that numeracy and literacy are essential to policing. Our second speaker will rebut and inform you that English and numeracy skills safeguard the integrity of policing and that competent police deter criminals and inspire confidence in public. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. Now on to my points. My first point is that literacy and numeracy are necessary for all jobs. Literacy and numeracy are extremely important, not only in police forces but in all jobs. According to David T., Senior Research Fellow of Vocational Adelaide, said that research is showing that numeracy is a key indicator of economic success and clearer paths towards employability at different jobs. This shows that numeracy and literacy is important in all workforces. Furthermore, South Australian Senator Alex Antic states that by cutting out the test, lowering the bar for police recruitments is certainly not the answer, and that police officers, the people taking care of crime in our country, need to be well educated and have high literacy and numeracy skills. The Victorian Police Force states that mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for police recruits offer several important benefits, primarily relating to job performance, professionalism, and legal accuracy within police work. These assessments ensure recruits possess the fundamental skills necessary to communicate clearly, complete required documentation, and make accurate decisions in the field. Now on to my second point, that numeracy and literacy is essential to policing. In response to the removal of mandatory testing, the President of Law Society of South Australia, Marissa Mackey, has expressed concern in an Adelaide Advertiser article saying that a base level of numeracy and literacy should be required for members of the police force. Ms Mackey also stressed the importance of numeracy skills, stating, officers who are involved in collecting evidence and investigating crime scenes conduct tasks that require a basic level of numeracy, such as measuring distances and speeds, interpreting timestamps, and constructing timelines of events. So, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I have clearly shown that South Australian Police must have mandatory spelling and numeracy tests. Thank you.
The first negative speaker, Gio Benson.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate today is that South Australia police should resonate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. We agree with the definition given by the affirmative team. However, we, the negative team, strongly believe that this statement is false. Today, as the first speaker, I'll explain why spelling and numeracy tests are not a good way to measure how good a police officer will be, why these tests are not needed, and because there are better ways to check recruits, and how the test could even stop some capable people from joining the police. Our second speaker will talk about the spelling and numeracy tests don't reflect real policing skills, and were removed to speed up recruitment and focus on abilities that actually matter on the job. Finally, our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team's case. I will now move on to rebuttals. The affirmative team compared police to different other professions. They use the test so SAPO should too. But this comparison is flawed. Teachers use literacy daily to teach students, nursery rely on numeracy to calculate exact medicine doses, and policing is different. According to the Griffin University Criminology Department, the most effective officers succeed by using empathy, conflict, resolution, and judgment, and not the test results. Comparing professionalism is like comparing apples and oranges. Numeracy tests are needed for the police, but the affirmative argued that police need numeracy tests to handle tests like issuing fines or interruptive crime data. But this is exaggerated. Officers don't sit at the desk calculating statistics. Specialist analysts do that. Everyday tasks like issuing fines are fully automated to electronic tickets, systems to do maths. As SAPO's Digital Policing Strategy 2020 shows, frontline officers are increasingly supported by tech that removes their needed manual elections. Now, I will be talking to you about 3 key points. Tests don't show real police skills, existing recruitment methods are enough, and tests can reduce diversity. Now to my first point. Spelling and numeracy tests are not a good way to measure police skills. Being able to spell words or do basic sums does not show if someone can handle emergencies, deal with conflicts, or make fast decisions in dangerous situations. For example, a recruit might make a small spelling error, but still respond perfectly in a crisis. The Australian Institute of Criminology found that the most important skill for police officers are problem-solving, decision-making, and teamwork, not spelling or simple basic math skills. Can a test really make someone a better officer if it doesn't measure the skills they need the most? Now to my second point. SAPO already check recruits through interviews, scenario tests, and psychological assessments. Over 90% of recruits pass these assessments without extra spelling or numeracy tests. In fact, spelling and numeracy tests were removed by the recruitment process of January 1st, 2024 by SAPO. Adding extra tests will only make it harder for capable people to join and just wasting valuable resources that could be used for other purposes. Should we really turn away a recruit that can stay calm during a robbery or solve a tough problem just because of a minor spelling error? Now to my final point. These tests could reduce diversity. Police need people from all backgrounds because different experiences help them understand and serve the community better. Focusing too much on spelling and numeracy could stop talented recruits from joining. We don't want to lose the people over a test that doesn't show their true ability. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, resonating mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for South Australia police recruits is not useful. The negative team strongly believe that these tests should remain unnecessary, and SAPO should continue using recruitment methods that actually show who will be a good police officer. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Mitchell Gray.
Good evening, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that South Australian police should reinstate the mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. We, the affirmative team, believe this to be true, and furthermore, it is crucial to SAPO's integrity. Today, as second speaker, I'll present 2 arguments. My first argument is that English and numeracy skills safeguard the integrity of policing, and my second testimony is that competent police deter potential criminals. I will now rebut what we've heard from the negative team. The first speaker from the negative team has argued that testing impacts diversity. However, let's be clear. Standards are not discrimination. We're not saying that university graduates should become police officers. We're saying that every recruit must meet a minimum level of literacy and numeracy because the job demands it. When someone's rights, safety, or legal outcome depends on an officer's words or calculations, we can't afford them to get it wrong. They've also claimed that the recruits will be removed later. Recruits in training may not be permitted to graduate if they don't possess the adequate skills to become police officers. This wastes 9 months of training and taxpayer money and still not producing more police officers in the field. The English and numeracy tests remove them at the source. I will now present my first argument, that English and numeracy skills safeguard the integrity of policing. The mandatory testing of spelling and numeracy is designed to ensure the quality, reliability, and legal soundness of policing, ensuring every recruit meets the minimum requirements of police work. The Victorian Police state that the English and numeracy spelling tests ensure that recruits possess the fundamental skills necessary to communicate clearly, complete required documentation, and make accurate decisions in the field, especially while under pressure. Veteran Adelaide criminal lawyer and former police officer, Michael Woods, has publicly stated that the testing was essential to police effectiveness. He is also quoted by saying, "Spelling and grammar are two of the most important things when understanding and applying the law, and needed a command of the English language to put the words down so some lawyer can't twist them or a court can't interpret them incorrectly." Now on to my second argument, that competent police deter potential criminals. The Victorian Police state that spelling and numeracy tests enhance the legitimacy of the police force, more importantly presenting them as professional and competent in the eyes of the public. According to Unley Van Dame, Doctor of Criminological Sciences at Ghent University, when the police are viewed as legitimate, people are more likely to cooperate with the police and comply with the law. In contrast, if police-citizen relationships break down, it can result in a lack of confidence and trust in the police, and ultimately a lack of compliance, which is essential when maintaining peace and order. In conclusion, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, we, the Affirmative team, have proved to you that the South Australian Police most certainly requires the spelling and numeracy testing for its recruits. I'll leave you with a question to ponder. One of the South Australian Police Force slogans is "Achieve More." However, with the dumbing down of our police force, should this be more accurately changed to "Achieve Less"? Should we not be aspiring for better rather than worse? Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Carmen Bill.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate today is that South Australia should reinstate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. We, the negative team, strongly disagree with this idea. I will now rebut the negative team's case. The affirmative claim that removing these tests lowers standards. This is misleading because the Australian Federal Police Requirement Guidelines show standards are already enforced through fitness testing, judgment under pressure and scenario-based assessments. These are qualities that actually keep people safe. Literacy and numeracy are already checked indirectly during academy work, so adding a separate test doesn't raise standards, it just wastes time. The affirmative would believe that the community will only respect police if they know officers pass these exams. But according to the ABS Crime Victimisation Survey 2022, public trust is built on fairness, quick response times and visibility, not on spelling ability. No one asks whether an officer can pass a numeracy quiz. They ask whether the officer will protect them. Our first speaker has already explained that spelling and numeracy tests don't show the actual skills needed to be a good police officer. She highlighted that abilities like decision-making, conflict resolution and communication are far more important than academic performance. She also showed that current recruitment methods already assess these real-world skills effectively, making extra tests unnecessary. Finally, she pointed out that mandatory testing could exclude candidates from diverse backgrounds. Today I'll be talking to you about 2 points. My first point is that spelling and numeracy tests don't improve the quality of police work. There's no evidence that scoring well on a spelling test makes someone better at solving crimes or protecting the public. These tests focus on academic skills, not the abilities officers use every day in situations. According to the official SAPRL requirement FUQ, the spelling and numeracy components were removed for a good reason. They did not include the actual requirements of the job. The revised tests now focus on reading comprehension and written expression that are far more relevant to policing. In addition, it is a requirement that a prospective recruit has attained a minimum education level of a Year 10 certificate. This makes the extra testing redundant. Now on to my second point, regarding how the South Australia Police are trying to speed up the recruitment process. Police Minister Stephen Mulligan told Parliament that the tests were abolished so more young people could be accepted into the police force. He said the spelling and numeracy requirements have been changed in order to knock back as many particularly young applicants. This shows that the tests were a hurdle, and removing them will help get more recruits into training faster. With that, the more officers join, the faster communities can benefit from quicker response times and the issues getting solved faster and more effectively. By bringing these useless and outdated tests back in, we would only be creating more barriers for recruits and not enriching the recruitment process. So in conclusion, bringing back mandatory spelling and numeracy tests won't make police officers better. It will just only serve to create more bureaucracy and focus on the wrong skills. The South Australian Police have made the right decision by shifting the focus to skills that actually matter on the job. If we listen to the Affirmative team, we'll only worsen the SAPRL attrition rates, which are already increasing at an alarming rate. Thank you for listening to my speech.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Endeavour.
Good evening, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Endeavour and I am the third speaker of the Affirmative team. We strongly agree with the topic that the South Australia Police should reinstate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. I will start by rebutting the points given by the opposing team, then I will sum up my team's case. On to my rebuttals. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that the recruits will be removed later from the police force. This is incorrect, because while training recruits may not be permitted to graduate if they don't possess adequate skills at the end of their training, this wastes both 9 months of training and taxpayers' monies, while still not producing more police in the field. Entry English and numeracy tests will remove these officers at the application stage. They also stated that the tests impact or affect diversity. This is undeniably wrong, because standards are not discrimination. We're not saying that only university graduates should become police officers. Every recruit should meet a minimum level of literacy and numeracy, because the job demands it. When somebody's rights, safety, or legal outcome depend on a police officer's words or calculations, we cannot afford for them to get it wrong. The second negative speaker stated that spelling and maths isn't needed for the police job. However, this is completely inaccurate. Veteran Adelaide criminal lawyer and former police officer Michael Woods has publicly stated that the testing was essential to police effectiveness. He also quoted by saying, "Spelling and grammar are two of the most important things in interpreting the law and applying the law. You need a command of English language to put the words down so some lawyer can't twist them." They also tried to explain how they're trying to speed up the recruitment process. This is wrong, because both nursing and teaching professions have tried to solve their understaffing issues by lowering course entry criteria. This, however, has been a failure. An article by The Australian states that students entering these courses with lower entry standards have higher course dropout rates. They are less prepared when entering employment and have lower term retention. Now onto the summary of my team's case. Our first speaker, Isla Darley, talked to you about how literacy and numeracy skills are an important, vital part of not only police forces, but all jobs. She also stated that poor literacy and numeracy skills in a police force environment will compromise criminal evidence. Our second speaker, Mitchell Gray, showed how literacy and numeracy skills safeguard the integrity of policing and the South Australian Police Force. He also spoke to you about how competent police officers with the needed skills of literacy and maths inspire the public and discourage or deter criminals. We've heard no convincing reason to lower this bar. If anything, the role of police in today's complex, high-stakes society requires more preparation, not less. We reaffirm our position. SAPOL must reinstate these essential tests. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Nitu Patel.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for debate today is that the South Australian Police should resonate mandatory spelling and numeracy tests for recruits. We, the negative team, strongly believe that this statement is false. I'll now rebut the negative team's arguments. The affirmative team suggested that tests save money and resources by filtering out weak recruits before academic training. But this is wrong because running an entire testing system requires exam design, supervision and marking, which costs money in itself. Meanwhile, the Productivity Commission in 2022 reported that early dropouts in the vocational training are best managed through in-program support, not pre-entry testing. So tests don't have resources, they actually waste them. The opposition team also argued how police work is mostly about numeracy and spelling. However, being a police officer isn't about how well you can spell or do maths problems on a paper. It's about problem solving, staying calm under pressure, protecting the community, and handling people in tough situations. Making spelling and numeracy a barrier to entry doesn't actually reflect the real skills police officers need. You don't need to be able to write a perfect essay or solve a numerous maths equation to chase down a thief or de-escalate a fight. According to the South Australian Police recruits, the revised recruitment test now focuses on reading comprehension instead. The affirmative might also say that testing ensures fairness by setting one bar for everyone. But fairness isn't about making everyone take the same test. It's about giving people equal opportunities to demonstrate their capability. Research from Monash University from 2022 shows that diverse assessment methods like interviews, situational judgment tests, and team exercises are more inclusive and give a fuller picture on recruit strength. A single written test risks disadvantaging diverse thinkers, candidates, recruits from different cultural backgrounds, or those with test anxiety, people who could still become exceptional police officers. Fairness comes from a variety in assessment, not from forcing everyone into one outdated box. Without tests, the affirmative might say that removing tests lowers the quality of recruits. This actually ignores the fact that quality in policing isn't about who scores highest on a written exam, but who demonstrates strong policing potential in practice. The South Australian Police annual report in 2023 highlights that modern recruitment already screens for skills like communication, ethical reasoning, judgment, and teamwork during academy training. I'll now summarise our team's case. Our first speaker explained that spelling and numeracy tests don't reflect real policing skills. She mentioned that the Australian Institution of Criminology noted over 90% of recruits already passed and warned that the tests reduce diversity. A second speaker showed that the tests don't improve police work and were removed by SAPOL in 2024 for a reason. She highlighted the Police Minister Stephen Mulligan's statement that removing them speeds recruitment and focuses on relevant skills. In conclusion, the negative team has proven that these tests are outdated, unnecessary, and even harmful. They measure the skills that make a good officer and risk shutting out talented recruits. That is why we strongly believe that they should not be installed. Thank you.